from an area, Judea. This is not found in the Holy Scriptures, or what remains of the Holy Scriptures known as the Old Testament. We don't find Moses telling his people that your religion is Judaism. No. We don't find him telling that. Zoroastrianism or Confucianism, all the other religious systems, we find that their names, Buddhism, are named after individuals, people. And in fact, oftentimes they end up representing the worship of these people. So Christianity involves the worship of Christ. Buddhism involves the worship of Buddha. Whereas Islam, it does not involve the worship of any individual. Because as I said, Islam is not the name of a person or a place. And this is why, according to Islamic teachings, the name Mohammedanism is not acceptable. You will find this in the dictionary. You will find it in the encyclopedia. Westerners tried to put Islam within the same framework of the other religions, in that it was the following of a particular person and the worshipping of that person. But for Muslims, we reject the name Mohammedanism. It is not acceptable because we do not worship Muhammad at all, in any way. It is totally prohibited. If one worships Muhammad, he leaves Islam. So, the fundamental principle of the religion, as I said, is expressed in the name itself, Islam. Submission to God alone. Now, the main message of Islam is that worship belongs to God alone. Submission is an act of worship. It's the foundation of worship. And it belongs to God alone. This is the message. And this, Islam teaches, was the message of all of the prophets, all the way back to Adam. Moses, Jesus, Abraham, all of the prophets taught the same basic message, that worship belongs to God alone. It is expressed in the Quran, wherein Allah said, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتِ. We have sent to every nation a messenger, a prophet, calling the people to worship God alone and to avoid the worship of God's creation, false gods. So this was the essential message of Islam, that worship belongs to God alone, and no one, no person, no place, no thing deserves that worship. It should only go to God alone. Now, when we look at the various religions, we find that they all have one thing in common. If we want to try to find out what makes Islam different from the other religions, because the other religions talk about worshipping God also, and the religions all talk about doing good. They call people to principles of righteousness and goodness. That's why some people say, well, really, there is no difference. It doesn't matter what religion you belong to, because all of the religions are talking about good. However, in fact, only Islam speaks about the worship of God alone in the pure sense. When Islam says we worship one God, this one God is unique. He is truly God. Unique meaning that he doesn't share his attributes with his creation. his characteristics. They are not shared by his creation. The Creator is the Creator, and he has his characteristics, and his creation is his creation, and it has its characteristics. They are not the same. They are different. When we look at the various religions, what we find is that all of them share one common characteristic of worshipping God's creation. Only Islam teaches the worship of God alone. The other religions may say, we worship God. However, you will find when you look into the actual practices that they are in fact worshipping God's creation. For example, Christianity. When a Christian is asked, why are you worshipping Jesus? The Christian will say, I am not worshipping Jesus the man. I am worshipping Jesus who was God incarnate on earth. Sounds like they're worshipping God. But the fact is, Christians worship Jesus. They pray to Jesus. This is not what Jesus taught. Jesus himself told his followers to pray to God. And he prayed to God. But his followers, later generations of his followers, they were deceived by certain people who introduced false ideas into the teachings of Jesus, and they ended up worshipping Jesus instead of worshipping the one who Jesus worshipped. Similarly, if we look at Hinduism, and some may say, well, Hinduism, how does this even fit in the picture of worshipping God? Hindus believe in one God. In spite of the many images and idols that they have, they believe in one fundamental supreme being referred to as Brahma. However, they believe